to introduce myself. My name is Umie Sarafina Binti Christie.
My name is Ibrahim.
My name is Nazmi Zahin.
My name is Rafhan bin Manzali.
And today's presentation we are going to present Chapter 3, the standard theory of international trade. So, trade is the exchange of goods or services between individuals or organizations. Meanwhile, international trade is the transaction among individuals or organizations in two diverse countries. The first one is the production frontier with increasing costs. So the production possibility curve or PPC illustrates the maximum combination of two goods that an economy can produce when resources are allocated efficiently. So when the opportunity cost is increasing, the PPF is about upward curve. This occurs because resources such as labor, land, and capital are not equally produced across all industries. Initially, switching a few resources to produce more of good X result in a small reduction in good Y. But as production shifts further, increasing unsuitable resources must be used, driving up cost of sacrifice output. In essence, each additional unit of X require giving up even larger amounts of good Y, reflecting the reality of trade-off. For example, as Brazil increases its production, it must give up more and more units of sugarcane. That is, every additional acre devoted to it means sacrificing an increased amount of sugarcane. That is, every additional acre devoted to wheat means sacrificing an increasing amount of sugarcane. This reflects rising opportunity cost. Why? Because Brazil is naturally better at growing sugarcane. Its resources are relatively more suited to that crop. So shifting land to wheat becomes increasingly cost in terms of sugarcane for good. Now, looking to the United States PPF, as it produces more sugarcane, each additional acre of yields more sugarcane, but at the cost of wheat. The slope shows that this opportunity cost increasing too, but importantly, the US is more efficient in growing wheat. So, moving land to sugarcane becomes more and more costly in terms of wheat not produced.
Okay, now I will continue for the second subtopic, which is marginal rate of transformation, or MRT, which is to measure the opportunity cost of producing one good in terms of one another. In simple terms, it tells us how much of one product we have to give up to make more of another product. So for the formula, MRT equal to MCX over MCY, where MCX is marginal cost of producing goods of X, and MCY is the marginal cost of producing goods of Y. Okay, for the example, as we look for the curve, it represents the efficient of combination of good X and good Y. Okay, the vertical axis show of the quantity of good Y, meanwhile the horizontal axis shows the quantity of good X. The curve is both upward. This shape means that as we produce more of good X, then we have to give up on increasing amount of good Y. This reflects that the increasing of opportunity cost.
Continue the topic 3 of this chapter. We will continue with community indifference curve and equilibrium in its isolation. So, first, community indifference curves. The meaning of these terms, the simple meaning is the nation do the trade with other nations. So, to further the studies of the community indifference curve, we use the example of nation 1 and nation 2. So, the nation 1 we are focusing on the goods Y, and the nation 2 is focusing on goods X. So, this community indifference curve will involve with the three curves. One curve is the lowest welfare, the second is the medium, and the third is the highest welfare. This the nation 2 is included also with the first welfare, that is the lowest point, the second and the third. So that the curve of welfare is the same for both nations. So the difference is the point of the goods for nations. So focusing on nation 1, nation 1 is focused on goods Y, have point A and point N. This point A, the goods of X is 50, but the goods Y is 60. Meanwhile, the point N is 30 for goods X and 70 for goods Y. So this is the lowest welfare that they will do trades. But if they make the if continue with trading with other nation, will achieve the curve second is point H and point T. But the more is increasing the trading, the more curve will be highest. So in curve 2, the goods will become more highest. They will get that in point H they will get around the 50, and the goods of in point H around is 70. And it also at the point D that the goods is about the same with point N, and the goods of their point Y is around 90. So in this curve 2 is big, but the goods of X is around the same. So this will make their nation need to continue trading with other nation until they can reach the highest welfare is curve 3. That is point E, that the goods is 70 and make a huge difference, and while the goods of their Y is around 80. It's not the highest for goods Y, but it increasing from the 70 to 90. So that's the nation 1 is focusing on goods Y. So we move on to nation 2 that focusing at goods X. So this quite similar, but they are focusing on goods X. So I will go through the curve 1, curve 2 and curve 3. Curve 1, their goods X is around the 70 for A prime and the 80 for A primes. And the goods Y for the A prime is 20 and 40 for A prime. So it shows that the goods Y is lowest because they're not focusing on goods X. So if they are trade with other nation, they will get the curve 2. That is the goods X is around 80 to 90. Then the goods Y is increasing to H prime around to 50. So is have a slight difference of increasing their goods, and if they continue to trade with other nation, they can get the highest welfare of the trading. That we got the goods around 100 for good X, and the Y is huge, increasing to 60 of goods Y. So it the starting of the goods of Y is lowest at 20. But if they are trading, they make also goods Y, they get the 70 around 70. While focusing on of X, they will also get the goods of Y increasing. So there is a community independent curve that is the definition is about the nation trade with other nation. So equilibrium in isolation is about the nation not do any trading with other nation and in isolation point. So nation 1 is focused on the goods X and nation 2 is focusing on goods Y. Nation 1 is the purple line for both nation. This shows their if they do a trading and their price. For example, if point B 130 for goods X, but they get the around 20 for goods Y. So it's a bad trading and also a bad price for their nation. So if they are rich in isolation, is equivalent isolation at point A, it have it around 50 goods A and 60 goods Y in A in point A. So it shows that their goods X is reducing to 50, but they get the goods Y from the 20 to the 60. So they make the 1X is equal to 1/4Y if they are focusing, if they are in isolation mode. So for the nation 2, if they are not in equilibrium in isolation, is example at the point B prime, that show that is in 40 of good X, while their goods Y is quite high at 120. So if this also is bad for their nation because the goods of X is lowest, but the goods of Y is quite high. So it's not balanced for their nation. So if they reach the equilibrium in their nation. At point A prime, it shows the goods X at around 80, and while the goods Y is around 40. So it reducing for goods Y around 140 to 40, while they make the increasing for the 40 to the 80. So in this equivalent isolation, while they are reducing the goods they are get, but they are balancing the other goods for their nation. So about this, the PA prime is equal to 4. That means the 1x is equal to 4y. So in equivalent isolation, the definition is about the nation that not do any trading, but they are do comparison about their goods in their nation. So I will pass to the Rafhan.
Next, I will continue with basics and gains from trade. Let's start with increasing opportunity costs. In the real world, countries cannot always relocate resources like land, labor, and capital perfectly. So, as a country tries to produce more of one good, it has to give up increasingly large amounts of another. This is reflected in the concrete production possibility frontier, or we call PPF. What this means is that as a nation specializes, the cost of production rises. Unlike the simple models with constant costs, here specialization is incomplete. But still, the good news is that trade allows both countries to consume beyond their own production capabilities. Thus, this is shown by the consumption possibility frontier, or we call CPF, which lies outside the PPF, indicating real gains from trade. Next, I will continue with equilibrium relative commodity prices. In equilibrium relative commodity prices, it affects the trade. It affects relative prices in the trade. Before trade, each country sets its prices based on its own opportunity cost. That is called autarky. But when countries open up to trade, prices adjust internationally based on comparative advantage. At equilibrium, or the slope, the marginal rate of transformation, or the slope of the PPF equals the international terms of trade. At this point, both countries trade efficiently, and we see equalization of relative commodity prices across borders. So, for the example, we can see the trade between Nation 1 and Nation 2. Nation 1 starts with point A and specializes in producing good X. Meanwhile, Nation 2 starts at point A prime and specializes in good Y with the similar increasing costs. They trade until their relative prices coverage somewhere between the pre-trade slopes. Assuming they trade 60 units of X for 60 units of Y, both end up at point E, which lies on a higher indifference curve. So as we can see, after trade, Nation 1 got 70 units of X and 80 units of Y, while Nation 2 got 80 units of X and 70 units of Y. So from that, we can see the gains from trade for Nation 1 and Nation 2 are the same, which is 20 units of X and 20 units of Y. Thus, both countries consume outside of their original PPF. But what about small country? And for small country, under constant cost, as Ricardo assumed, small country will fully specialize in the good where it has a comparative advantage. Why? Because its production capacity is small and it makes sense to focus on what it does best. But under increasing cost, the picture changes as the small country tries to expand production. It eventually uses less suited resources, raising marginal costs. At some point, it becomes inefficient to specialize further, and so the country diversifies production again to avoid losses. Thus, this is the more realistic scenario and highlights the limits of the full specialization when real-world factors are considered. So that's all from us. Thank you.